Hey, shalom, shalom, Most High in Christ. Bless. I'm Captain Yadaya, IUIC Cleveland. And this is 15 Minutes with the Captains. And today's class is the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages. Oh, yes, we can read about the Dark Ages in the Holy Bible. All right, also known as the Middle Ages. What's the word? Including the Byzantine Empire. We're going to read about that in the Bible. Let's get Daniel 7 and verse 3. Daniel 7 and verse 3.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 3.
Come on.
And 4 great beasts came up from the sea.
Right, so these beasts is going into the major world kingdoms. It says 4 beasts came up from the sea. Go ahead.
Diverse, one from another.
Uh-huh.
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man.
Right, so that first beast was ancient Babylon. One of the notable kings was Nebuchadnezzar. Let's read on.
And a man's heart was given to it.
Now jump down to verse 7.
Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast.
So the 4th beast rose from the sea. Watch this, read.
Dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had the great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it.
And this 4th beast is Rome. Rome. Read on.
And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Read.
And it had 10 horns.
And it had 10 horns. Go to 2nd Esdras 11. That 4th beast was Rome. It didn't tell you what kind of beast it was. It didn't tell you. 2nd Esdras 11, start at verse 1. It wasn't expounded to Daniel. Watch this.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 11 and verse 1.
Read.
Then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads.
It says, then saw I a dream, an eagle, and we know whose symbol is the eagle. It's the so-called white man. Yes. Peter Park, your friendly neighborhood white man. It says an eagle came up from the sea. Read on, having what?
Which had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads.
3 heads. Rome, Britain, and America. Now, jump to verse 39. Verse 39. So now we've been expounded. We've been given the image of that 4th beast that wasn't described to Daniel. Now, chapter 11, verse 39.
Verse 39. Are not thou it that remainest of the 4 beasts?
So the Spirit said, are not thou it that remaineth of the 4 beasts? Read.
Whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them.
The white man is the last world empire. When Christ returns, Esau, the so-called white man, will still be in rulership. Go ahead.
And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fearfulness.
Right. Rome's army was unstoppable. Go ahead.
And over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression.
Go ahead.
And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit.
Y'all see that thing? And so long he dwelt upon the earth with deceit. So long he dwelt upon the earth with deceit. Go to chapter 7. Same book. Go to chapter 7. Verse 28.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 28. For my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him.
Right. So it says, my son Jesus shall be revealed with those that be with him. Those were the apostles, the disciples. My son. So this is prophecy about Christ. What time did Christ come? In the 1st century, the time of Rome. The time of Rome. Pontius Pilate. Herod. Go ahead.
And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Right. So he says, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. 400 years from when? From the time of Persia, the time of Esdras. Go ahead.
And after these years,
and after these years, during the time of Rome and Christ coming, go ahead.
Shall my son Christ die.
Christ died for Israel. Go ahead.
And all men that have life.
All men that have life is the disciples. They died. And we know that Israel was sieged by Rome in 70 AD. Read that last part again.
Yes, sir. And all men that have life.
And all men that have life, meaning what? Have the proper understanding, can teach the proper gospel. Go ahead.
And the world shall be turned into the old silence.
The world shall be turned into what?
The old silence.
The old silence is talking about the dark ages, where nobody is teaching the truth. Nobody is teaching the commandments in the faith of Jesus Christ, the black Messiah. That understanding was gone from the earth. Much wickedness and much paganism was going on in the earth. The Holy Roman Empire was the unholy Roman Empire. And those were black, so-called black people that were ruling during those dark ages. We're gonna get some more on that in a minute. But read that verse again. Verse, where you at?
Verse 30.
Read.
And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgment.
You said and the world should be turned into the old silence. The old silence is talking about the dark ages. It's talking about the dark ages, because what happened to the great Roman Empire? What happened? Malachi 1. Malachi chapter 1. Let's read prophecy. Malachi 1. Watch this. Verse 3. What happened to the great powerful eagle, the fourth beast? What happened? Malachi 1 and 3.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 3.
Come on.
And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste.
So the prophecy is that Esau's mountains and his heritage will be laid waste. When did that happen historically? When did that happen? It happened in 193 AD under a general, the charge of a general known as Septimius Severus, a Jew, a so-called black man today. And Rome fell in 193 AD. And then so-called black people, dark people ruled. That's why it was called the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages. Well, they say, white men say, oh, there was no recorded history during that time. Oh, no, history was recorded during that time. But they don't want to tell you that you were ruling, because they can't teach a slave that he was master. And we taught them how to bathe and re-educated them. Read that verse again.
Verse 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste.
Read.
For the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas
you said it says he hated Esau. So when Rome fell, we were the ones who were in rulership in what scholars call the Holy Roman Empire, where you had Constantine, his mother Helena. You got notable ones like Saint Maurice, for example. King James, for example. Give me Psalm 68, verse 11. Because the King James Bible, when was that event? 1611. 1611. Psalm 68, verse 11. Watch this.
The book of Psalms.
King James was a black man who ruled 3 countries at one time. Ireland, Britain, when it was called Britannica. Give me Psalm 68, verse 11.
The book of Psalms, chapter 68 and verse 11.
Read.
The Lord gave the word.
The Lord gave the word. Go ahead.
Great was the company of those that published it.
The Lord gave the word, and great was the company of those that published it. Yeah, that's going into the prophets. But guess what? How did the King James Bible come together? He put forth the edict, and guess what? 54 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of that time period translated perfectly the word of God. Ecclesiastes 8. Ecclesiastes 8, read verse 4.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8 and verse 4.
Come on.
Where the word of a king is.
What did it say?
Where the word of a king is.
Where the word of a king is, read.
There is power.
Where the word of a king is, there is power. We were in great rulership. And the so-called white man, after he fell, they were back in the caves. They were in the caves living like animals. They're the caveman. We were never in the caves. They're the Geico caveman. Watch this. Go to Job 30. We're going to read about it. What were they doing in the dark ages when dark people were ruling? What were they doing? Let's see. Job 30, verse 1.
The book of Job, chapter 30 and verse 1.
Come on.
But now, they that are younger than I have me in derision.
Talking about the so-called white man. People who are less of honor than us have us in derision. They want to mock us. They got stereotypes and wise sayings about us. They say we 3/5 of man, so on and so forth. Come on.
Whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
They were lower than the dogs of our flock. We didn't even want them to mingle with our animals. Go ahead.
Yea, Whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished?
Watch this.
For want and famine they were solitary.
They were driven from amongst society. For want and famine they were solitary, living like animals in the caves. Read.
Fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste.
Read.
Who cut up mallows by the bushes.
They was eating raw plants, living like beasts, like antelope. Read.
And juniper roots for their meat.
Read.
They were driven forth from among men.
We chased them when we started ruling, chased them to the mountains like thieves. We beat them like they stole something and drove them into seclusion. They were cast out like lepers. Read.
They cried after them as after a thief.
Read.
To dwell in the cliffs.
To do what?
To dwell in the cliffs.
They are the, we were never cavemen. They are the cavemen. Read.
Of the valleys. In caves.
In what?
In caves.
Read.
Of the earth. And in the rocks.
Come on.
Among the bushes they bewrayed.
Among the bushes they brayed. like the Edomite on Home Improvement. Not even speaking a known language. Living like animals. Among the bushes they brayed, making noises like animals. Read.
Under the nettles they were gathered together.
Read.
They were children of fools.
They were what?
Children of fools.
Come on.
Yea, children of base men.
They were children of base men. They were dumb. Disease was stricken. They would eat lice out of each other's hair. They were base men, and we are the ones who had to re-educate them. Read on. We're going to get to that. Come on.
They were viler than the earth.
They were viler than the earth. Go ahead. They were filthy creatures. Go ahead.
And now am I their song.
Now they want to mock us. Now they want us, whites only. Segregation. We don't want to be around y'all. No. We the ones who don't want to be around you. We don't want to be around you. And you know that history. You know that history very well. Now, from there, go to Ecclesiastes. No, go to Sirach 12. We taught them to bathe. We allowed them to have positions in our army. And how did they repay us? Let's see. Watch this. God warned us. Sirach 12, verse 10. We taught them how to bathe. We re-educate them, and we allowed them to get positions in our military. We allowed them to get high position in our military. Watch what the Bible prophesies. Sirach 12 and 10.
The book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10.
Come on.
Never trust thine enemy.
Never trust thine enemy, God says. Go ahead.
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Watch this.
Though he humble himself.
Esau was in a low position in the caves, braying amongst the nettles. He was in a very humble, very low position during the dark ages when we were ruling. Read.
And go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him.
Come on.
And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
Come on.
And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
Read.
Set him not by thee.
The Bible said, set him not by thee. That's exactly what we did during the dark ages. After time went on, we started to allow them positions in our military. We started to allow them to have certain levels of status and authority. God told us, set him not by thee. Go ahead.
Lest when he hath overthrown thee.
Lest when he what?
Hath overthrown thee.
Watch this.
He stand up in thy place.
They overthrew us and then said, we're the Christians, we're the Jews. They overthrew us and then stood up in our place. Read.
Neither let him sit at thy right hand.
And that's what we did. We allowed them to sit at our right hand. They had position. They had nobility. Come on.
Lest he seek to take thy seat.
Lest he what?
Seek to take thy seat.
And that's exactly what they did. Read.
And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
In these last days, we prick therewith because we allowed that to happen. And what did they do? They overthrew us and stood up in our place as the Christians and the Jews. Now, Revelation 13. Revelation 13, let's get some more. Revelation 13, let's get some more. Revelation 13, read verse 14. Watch this.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth.
So this so-called white man deceives them that dwell on the earth. Go ahead.
By the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Go ahead.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast.
So that image is going into around World War II, but it was an image that predated that. Watch this. Wisdom of Solomon 14. Wisdom of Solomon 14. Watch this. Wisdom of Solomon 14, read verse 15. Come on. Watch this. Wisdom of Solomon 14, verse 15.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 15.
Watch this.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he hath made an image of his child, soon taken away.
Read.
Now honored him as a god.
Now honor him as a god. Who did this? We know that Nimrod did it. We know it happened during the time of ancient Babylon, but it happened again during the Renaissance. During the Renaissance, it happened again. And Pope Alexander VI of Rome hired Leonardo da Vinci to paint his son Cesare Borgia as the image of Christ. Go back to Revelation 13. Go back to Revelation 13. It happened again. Revelation 13, read 14. Watch this.
The book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 14.
Watch this.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Come on.
Saying, do them that dwell.
Saying to them, come on.
Excuse me. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast.
Watch this.
Which had the wound by a sword.
The wound by the sword is talking about Rome falling in 193 AD. The fourth beast had a wound by a sword, a deadly wound, meaning it fell. It was wounded, had a wound by a sword, talking about when it fell in 193 AD under Septimius Severus. Had a wound by a sword, but what?
And did live.
And did live. They came back, rebirth. That's what Renaissance means. The Renaissance era. Had a wound by a sword and did live. They were rebirthed into the earth. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about the dark ages ending and then them coming back into power, which was known in time as the Renaissance era. Go back to Malachi 1, because God prophesied of that also. God prophesied that he would destroy their heritage, but it's not talking about the final destruction. Because watch the next verse, Malachi 1. We read verse 3, now read verse 4.
Malachi chapter 1 and verse
4.
Verse 4.
Read.
Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished.
They were impoverished. They were desolate. They were braying amongst the nettles. They were living in caves. They were worse than the dogs. Read.
But we will return.
But we will what?
Return.
We will return. Renaissance. To be rebirthed. To return. We will return. Read.
And build the desolate places.
And they built the desolate places. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down.
Now, that's the final destruction. But God prophesied that after they fell, they wouldn't stay down forever. It says that they would return and build the desolate places. Revelation 13. Revelation 13 and verse 3. Come on.
Revelation chapter 13 and verse 3. And I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death.
That's Rome when it fell in 193 AD. That's one of the heads, the fourth beast, as it were wounded to death. Read.
And his deadly wound was healed.
What did it say?
And his deadly wound was healed.
And Rome came back into power during the Renaissance era. Its deadly wound was healed. Read.
And all the world wondered after the beast.
And all the world wondered after the beast. All the world accepted the image of Caesar Borgia, the son of Rodrigo Borgia, Pope Alexander VI. All the world wondered after the beast. Verse 7.
Verse 7.
Come on.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints.
And he had power by God to make war with the saints. Read.
And to overcome them.
And to overcome them. They were the wildlings. We were the ones in the castles. And to overcome us, read on.
And power was given him.
And power was given to the so-called white man. Read.
Over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Y'all said the thing. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. Back to Malachi 1. Back to Malachi 1 again. Read verse 4.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
Read.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness.
It says, God says they shall build, but I will throw down. The final judgment is pending. So that's what we are dealing with in this earth. So a lot of times they say, oh, well, how come the Bible don't talk about the dark ages? What are you talking? The Bible does talk about the dark ages. You don't keep no commandments, so you don't even understand the Bible. So Israel, with that, I pray y'all got something from the class. Most High in Christ bless you. I'm Captain Yadaya. It's been 15 minutes with the captains. Shalom.
What is nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support